You will never conquer wealth if you are ruled by the chaos inside your mind. There is a cold truth to success, and it is this: wealth does not flow to the frantic, the desperate, or the scattered. It finds its way to those who command themselves first. You want money, power, opportunity, but you overlook the law that precedes all external gain. Mental stillness is the foundation. It is the iron discipline to quiet the noise, the distraction, the feverish need to prove or perform. Until you learn to master your thoughts, to control the invisible machinery of your mind, you will be a slave to every distraction, every fear, every fleeting emotion. The world will control you, not the other way around. Pause and observe those who have risen from nothing to command great fortunes. It is not always the most educated or the most talented. Often it is the man who has learned to quiet his mind, to observe rather than react, to see patterns where others see only problems. The world is full of men who chase, men who hurry, men who panic as opportunities appear and vanish like smoke. But the few who rise above the noise are those who can be still in the eye of the storm. They do not rush, they respond. They do not react, they calculate. Their calm is unnerving to those who have never disciplined their own minds, and that calm becomes a magnet for wealth. Do not mistake mental stillness for weakness or passivity. It is not the posture of those who have surrendered, but the secret weapon of those who intend to win. The masses mistake busyness for productivity, filling every waking hour with motion, conversation, and worry. They scatter their energy until they are exhausted and empty. But the man who learns to sit with himself, to quiet the chatter, to direct his focus like a laser, can accomplish in an hour what others squander in a week. Success is not a race. It is the art of controlling your inner world until the outer world bows to your command. To achieve mental stillness, you must first discipline your environment. Eliminate the distractions that fragment your attention and sap your willpower. If your life is filled with noise, useless conversations, idle entertainment, you are training your brain to be weak. You are teaching yourself to live on the surface, never diving deep enough to find the gold that lies beneath. Wealth responds to the man who can be alone with his thoughts, who is not afraid to sit in silence and confront the deeper questions. Who am I? What do I want? What am I willing to become in order to claim it? Once you strip away the noise, you will encounter another enemy, your own mind. The undisciplined mind is restless. It drags up regrets from the past and anxieties about the future. It invents problems where there are none. It rebels against focus and resists clarity. But here is where you begin the real work. Each time you catch yourself drifting into useless worry or fruitless comparison, bring your focus back to the present. Refuse to be ruled by what cannot be changed. Wealth is only built in the present by clear, calm, intentional thought, followed by bold action. You must discipline your mind to stay in the here and now. That is where opportunity lives. Meditation is not just a spiritual practice. It is a tool for the serious builder of wealth. It teaches you to direct your attention, to slow your breath, to master your reactions. 10 minutes a day spent in true stillness will sharpen your mind like a blade. You will become harder to provoke, slower to anger, quicker to see through the illusions that trap the masses. The man who can control his breathing can control his mind, and the man who can control his mind can control his destiny. There is no room for mental weakness in the pursuit of wealth. You must be ruthless with yourself, refusing to indulge every emotional impulse or fleeting thought. The next step is to bring stillness to your goals. The world will tempt you to chase every shiny object, to pursue every new trend or opportunity. This is a trap. The wealth that endures is built on unwavering focus. Define your purpose. Decide once and for all what you intend to achieve, and let every thought, every decision, every action flow from that single source. When your mind is quiet, you can hear the quiet voice of intuition, the inner knowing that always guides the true winners. Doubt and confusion fall away. Clarity remains. The man who acts from this place of inner alignment moves faster, with more power and less resistance. Wealth flows to him as if by law. Your energy is your currency. If you waste it on gossip, resentment, or scattered pursuits, you are bankrupt before you begin. Reserve your energy for creation, not reaction. Refuse to be dragged into pointless arguments, debates, or emotional dramas. Protect your mind as you would protect a vault of gold. Guard your time, your attention, your mood. Stillness is the shield that deflects the chaos of the world, leaving you free to build, to plan, to execute without interference. Do not confuse this stillness with detachment. You must still be relentless in pursuit, unyielding in discipline, hungry for improvement. But all this must flow from a center of calm power, not desperation. The man who moves from stillness can see farther, react faster, and endure longer. His enemies are confused by his composure. His competitors exhaust themselves in noise and haste, while he advances quiet, steady, unstoppable. You must also discipline your mind to silence the opinions of others. The average man is a slave to public perception, forever adjusting his course to please, impress, or outshine the crowd. This is poverty thinking. The rich man is guided by his own inner compass. He listens, he observes, but he does not surrender his vision to the judgments or doubts of others. Stillness gives him the strength to remain true to himself. You must decide once and for all whose approval matters, and if you are honest, you will see that only your own approval counts. True wealth is not measured only by dollars and assets, but by the quality of your mind. A man with a restless, agitated mind is poor, no matter how large his bank account. He is tossed by every wind, ruled by every mood, haunted by regrets and driven by anxiety. But the man who achieves mental stillness is rich even before the money arrives. He is calm in crisis, patient in adversity, focused in uncertainty. He is the master of himself, and that mastery inevitably produces external results. If you want more from life, start by controlling the only thing you truly own, your mind. Train it to be calm, to be disciplined, to be unshakable. When the storms of life come, you will not be moved. When opportunity knocks, you will be ready. And as the world becomes louder, more frantic, more desperate, you will rise above the noise and claim the rewards that only the few ever receive. Mental stillness is not a luxury. It is not a suggestion. It is the price of admission to the world of wealth. The man who cannot control himself will never control anything else. But the man who masters stillness commands his fate. Become that man. Begin today. Your fortune depends on it. Understand this. The modern world is built to break your focus. Every device, every headline, every new distraction is engineered to scatter your mind, to keep you addicted to stimulation and urgency. If you surrender to these forces, you are selling your most valuable asset, your attention, for nothing. Your attention is the raw material of your power. Whoever controls it controls your destiny. So you must reclaim it, deliberately and without apology. This is not optional if you intend to rise above the ordinary and shape a life of wealth and meaning. You cannot allow your mind to be a public park, open to every passing opinion, worry, or trend. It must become a fortress, a citadel of stillness from which your greatest ambitions can be launched. Begin each day by conquering the first hour. Refuse to let the world invade your mind before you have commanded it. No news, no idle chatter. Instead, sit with your goals, review them, see them as if they are already true. Let your mind absorb the feeling of success, of progress, of calm control. The man who starts his day in chaos will end it in regret. But the man who begins with stillness programs his mind to notice opportunity, to move with intention, to create rather than react. This hour is your anchor. Guard it. Let nothing disturb it. If you do this, the hours that follow will take their cue from your discipline, bending to your will. Now, notice how the frantic man behaves when faced with adversity. He panics. He complains. He reacts. But the still man observes. He does not waste energy on blame or excuses. He studies the problem in silence, searching for patterns and leverage. He knows that every crisis contains a seed of opportunity, but only for those calm enough to find it. The masses lose their composure and waste their power. The elite remain composed, and as the storm passes, they are ready to act when others are exhausted or demoralized. This ability to maintain calm in chaos is not a trait you are born with. It is forged in discipline, in practice, in choosing to hold your mind steady when all around you are losing theirs. Mental stillness is also the secret to clarity of decision. The man who cannot quiet his doubts will endlessly second-guess himself, paralyzed by imaginary obstacles. He will hesitate, delay, and ultimately lose his chance. But the man who cultivates inner quiet hears the subtle voice of reason and intuition that always knows the right path. He does not need the crowd to approve or the world to validate his choices. He has learned to trust the deep knowing that only appears in moments of stillness. Wealth does not reward those who wait for permission. It flows to those who can make bold, clear decisions in the absence of external reassurance. You will encounter resistance, both from within and without, as you train your mind in this way. Friends, colleagues, even family may mistake your discipline for arrogance or detachment. They will try to pull you back into the endless loop of busyness and noise because your stillness exposes their own chaos. Do not yield. You are not here to live at the level of the masses. You are here to transcend, to lead, to create. Greatness demands solitude. If you cannot spend time alone with your mind, how can you hope to lead others or influence the world? The man who cannot control his thoughts is fit only to follow those who can. Let us address the greatest enemy of mental stillness, emotional reactivity. The masses are slaves to every spike of anger, jealousy, fear, or excitement. They leap from feeling to feeling, burning up their creative energy on emotional fires that accomplish nothing. But you must become the master of your emotional state. This does not mean you suppress or deny your feelings. It means you rule them. When you feel anger, use it as fuel for focus. When fear arises, let it sharpen your senses, not paralyze your will. Each emotion is energy, but only the man who is still inside can channel that energy into productive action. Mental stillness also unlocks the higher faculties of your mind. Creativity, insight, vision, all these are the products of a mind at peace, a mind that is undisturbed by trivialities. The greatest ideas come not in moments of panic, but in periods of deep, unbroken calm. If you seek to innovate, to solve great problems, to create value where none existed, you must learn to step back from the noise, to let your mind wander and explore in silence. The richest inventions, the most powerful solutions, are discovered in the space between thoughts. The world rewards creators, not reactors. Cultivate rituals of stillness. Make time for deep reading, for journaling, for silent walks, for focused thinking without interruption. Do not allow your life to be reduced to a sequence of urgent tasks and petty distractions. You are not a machine. You are a builder, a thinker, a leader. Your mind is the forge in which your future is hammered into shape. If you allow that forge to be cluttered with gossip, resentment, or endless anxiety, your work will suffer and your wealth will slip away. Remember, the world is addicted to speed, but wealth is attracted to patience and poise. Haste is the enemy of quality. The man who must have everything now pays the highest price, both in money and in dignity. He is the one who falls for schemes, who chases every new promise, who burns out long before his work is done. The man who is calm, who moves steadily, who builds slowly and with intention. He is the one who reaps the lasting rewards. The world cannot seduce him with shortcuts or scare him with setbacks. He is unshakable, and so his fortune is inevitable. There will be times when your mind rebels, when the temptation to rush or to react feels overwhelming. You must meet these moments with even greater discipline. Use your breath as an anchor. Slow it down. Refuse to speak or act until your mind is clear. Let others hurry and make mistakes. You will move with power and precision. Each day, your self-mastery will grow. Each week, you will find yourself less disturbed by the noise of the world, more tuned to the quiet signal of your own wisdom. This is the paradox. The more still you become inside, the more dynamic and effective you become outside. You will appear almost supernatural to those who are still ruled by impulse and anxiety. They will wonder how you remain so productive, so calm, so lucky. But it is not luck, it is law. Wealth flows to the man whose mind is still, because only he can see what others overlook. Only he can seize the right moment, make the right move, and persist when others have already surrendered. If you want the world to obey you, you must first obey yourself. If you want opportunity to recognize you, you must become recognizable to opportunity. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of mastery. When you have cultivated this, you will no longer chase wealth, you will attract it. Your work will have a quality of inevitability. Your progress will become relentless and silent. Your mind will become a magnet for every resource, every connection, every breakthrough you require. So start now. Close the doors to distraction. Claim ownership over your own mind. Refuse to be seduced by urgency or noise. Practice stillness as if your life depends on it, because it does. Let the world rage and rush while you build your empire brick by brick in the quiet power of mental mastery. The longer you persist, the greater your advantage. Wealth will come to you quietly at first, then all at once, and you will know with absolute certainty that you earned it not through frantic action, but through disciplined stillness. This is the mark of greatness. This is the law of wealth. If you are honest with yourself, you will admit how easily your mind is pulled from the task at hand. One moment of boredom, one spark of self-doubt, one intrusion of the outside world, and your entire focus collapses. The man who chases every rumor, every passing distraction, cannot possibly expect to build anything enduring. Wealth does not reveal itself to the scattered or the impatient. It waits for the man who can bring the full force of his attention to a single purpose and hold it there, unwavering, through temptation and adversity alike. The rare individual who disciplines his mind to stay rooted in stillness becomes a force of nature in a world of lost, restless souls. Observe carefully how most people live. They are like leaves in a storm, tossed by the winds of circumstance and emotion. Their desires change with the weather. Their commitments are abandoned at the first sign of discomfort. This is not the path to power. To master the art of stillness is to anchor your life to principles that do not move, to values that do not bend, to opinion or fashion. Ask yourself now, what do I truly want? What am I willing to endure for it? What distractions am I willing to sacrifice forever, so that my mind may serve me as a trusted servant, not a disloyal master? This is where your wealth-building journey begins, in the unshakable clarity of self-honesty. The next step is to recognize that all external achievement is rooted in inner calm. You cannot create harmony in your business, your relationships, or your finances if your mind is at war with itself. Most failures are not due to lack of skill or opportunity, but to the hidden battles fought in secret, the conflicts between desire and doubt, ambition and fear, vision and insecurity. The world will test you with setbacks, rejections, and betrayals, but these are only surface storms. The true battle is always within. Every man must choose. Will he become the commander of his thoughts, or remain forever a casualty of circumstance? You will notice that the men who achieve the most, who rise from obscurity to greatness, are not those who chase after every trend or spread themselves thin across a dozen pursuits. They move slowly, but relentlessly. Their progress appears almost invisible at times because it is built on a foundation of mental calm that cannot be shaken by temporary setbacks. When the world panics, they are steady. When others lose hope, they become even more focused. In time, opportunity bends to their will because their minds are already prepared to receive it. This is not luck. It is the silent reward of the man who has trained himself to dwell in stillness while others drown in noise. Consider what happens to a man who refuses to discipline his mind. He will be ruled by every voice but his own. He will become a slave to his moods, a servant to the opinions of others, a prisoner of his own past failures. Each time he allows his mind to drift into worry or regret, he sabotages his future. Each time he indulges in distraction or impulsiveness, he surrenders ground to the enemy of progress. But you must not fall into this trap. You must become, above all else, a master of your mental environment. Your mind is not a garbage dump for the world's anxieties, nor a playground for petty fears. It is a workshop where greatness is constructed, in silence, by a craftsman who tolerates nothing less than excellence. You may ask, how do I develop this level of mental stillness when the world conspires to break my focus at every turn? The answer is simple, but not easy. Repetition and ritual. Just as a blacksmith tempers steel by repeated exposure to heat and pressure, so must you train your mind through repeated acts of concentration and conscious withdrawal from chaos. Each time you resist the pull of distraction, each time you return your focus to the task at hand, you are forging a mind that will one day be unbreakable. It is not the size of the distractions that matters, but the consistency with which you refuse to yield to them. Start with your physical environment. A cluttered space breeds a cluttered mind. Eliminate what is unnecessary. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals, not of your weaknesses. If you live in chaos, you will think in chaos. Order and stillness go hand in hand. Rise early, before the world awakens, and spend these precious moments in quiet reflection. Journal your thoughts. Set your intentions. Train your mind to dwell not on problems, but on solutions. Throughout the day, pause often. Withdraw, if only for a few breaths, to recenter yourself in silence. With practice, you will notice the noise of the world growing softer, the voice of your own intuition growing louder. Mental stillness also demands you control the company you keep. If you surround yourself with frantic, negative, or undisciplined people, their habits will become your habits. The world is filled with those who mistake business for productivity. noise for power, drama for meaning. If you wish to rise above, you must seek out the rare souls who understand the value of peace, of intention, of focused ambition. Learn from them. Let their calm reinforce your own. Guard your inner circle as you would guard your treasure, for it will determine the tone of your thoughts and the altitude of your success. Every day, life will present you with new provocations, an insult, a setback, a piece of bad news, a temptation to abandon your discipline. Each of these is a test. Each is an opportunity to prove to yourself and to the world that your mind is governed by principles, not by impulses. Practice the art of non-reaction. When you feel anger, do not immediately respond. When you sense fear, do not immediately retreat. When you are faced with confusion, do not immediately seek to escape it with noise or activity. Instead, pause, breathe, let your mind settle. From this place of calm, decide your next move, not as a slave to your emotions, but as a master of your destiny. You will find that as your mental stillness grows, so too does your influence. People are drawn to those who radiate calm and certainty, especially in times of turmoil. The man who is still inside becomes an anchor for others. He attracts trust, respect, and opportunities without having to beg for them. In business, he becomes the negotiator who never blinks, the leader who inspires confidence, the innovator who sees hidden solutions while others see only problems. In life, he becomes the partner, the parent, the friend who others seek out for wisdom and strength. Wealth, in its deepest sense, is not merely the accumulation of money or assets. It is the ability to move through the world with authority, to command resources, to solve problems, to create value where none existed. All of these are made possible by a mind that is still, intentional, and fully awake. The man who controls his mind controls his fate. The world will offer you countless excuses for failure, for distraction, for mediocrity, but it will never reward you for using them. It only honors those who rise above, who choose focus over frenzy, discipline over chaos, mastery over mediocrity. As you reflect on this truth, remember, mental stillness is not a destination. It is a practice, a commitment renewed daily. It is the constant, deliberate choice to step back from noise, to return your attention to what truly matters, to build your empire in the quiet power of a disciplined mind. Others may laugh, may doubt, may even resent your commitment to stillness. Let them. They are not building what you are building. Their destinies are not your concern. Your responsibility is to your vision, your purpose, your legacy. Hold fast to these and let the world spin as it will. By the time you master this principle, you will look back on your old life and wonder how you ever tolerated the mental chaos that once passed for normal. You will see with absolute clarity how every gain in outer wealth was preceded by an inner victory, how every dollar earned, every goal achieved, every relationship strengthened began as a decision to be still, to focus, to persist. This is the secret the world will never teach you. The richest rewards belong not to those who run the fastest, but to those who remain unshaken until the race is theirs to claim. And so you persist, calmly, deliberately, with the certainty that your wealth is already on its way, because your mind has finally become worthy of it. Pause for a moment and look around you. Every monument of achievement, every institution of greatness, every individual who has left an indelible mark upon the world began their ascent from a single point of inner quiet. The world often idolizes relentless action, constant noise, and tireless hustle. But the men who truly create, who truly dominate, are those who have learned to command silence within themselves. For wealth, genuine wealth, does not answer to the frantic or the scattered. It bows before the mind that is untroubled, clear, and rooted deeply in purpose. The ability to keep your inner waters calm while storms rage outside is the rarest and most valuable power you will ever develop. The world will not give you permission to be still. It will tempt you with endless urgencies, push you into battles that are not your own, and whisper that you must always be doing if you wish to avoid falling behind. Yet it is a lie. Stillness is not passivity. It is a state of absolute alertness, a presence so profound that your mind becomes the eye in the hurricane, aware of all, disturbed by nothing. Imagine a chess master. While amateurs rush their pieces with nervous hands, the master surveys the board with quiet certainty, seeing moves no one else can see because his mind is unclouded by panic or haste. The wealth you seek is exactly like this. It comes not to the man who chases, but to the one who stands firm and lets opportunity reveal itself in the quiet between movements. This stillness is not granted at birth, nor is it the result of some mystical accident. It is trained, it is earned, day by day, through 1,000 small disciplines that most men refuse to accept. It begins with your thoughts, what you permit yourself to dwell on, what you refuse to entertain, what you choose to feed your mind each morning and each night. The man who sits alone in the early hours, before the world's noise invades, is not wasting time. He is sharpening his blade, tempering his resolve, organizing his ideas so that when he steps into the arena of life, he does so as a commander, not a foot soldier. If you cannot claim the first minutes of your day for silence, you will spend the rest of it as a slave to interruptions. Understand this. Every distraction you indulge, every petty annoyance you allow to steal your attention, is an act of sabotage against your own potential. Your mind, if left undisciplined, will constantly reach for stimulation, for conflict, for drama. The men who dominate their fields, who build fortunes, who leave legacies, are those who have declared war on distraction. They build routines that shield them from the world's noise. They simplify their environments, restrict their inputs, and reserve the best of themselves for the work that matters. When setbacks occur, they do not react like frightened animals. They return to stillness, consider their options, and proceed with calculated intent. This is where you must begin. Take inventory of the forces that rob you of mental peace. Are you surrounded by people who thrive on chaos? Do you drown your anxieties in meaningless and endless conversations or pointless consumption? Do you mistake motion for progress, noise for importance, activity for achievement? Most will never admit to these weaknesses, and so they remain captives to them for life. But the rare man, the future king, calls his distractions by their true names and banishes them without hesitation. He chooses what enters his mind with the same care he would use in choosing what enters his home. What you tolerate in your inner life will define the boundaries of your outer success. Consider the mind as a garden. If left unattended, weeds will overtake it, choking out anything of value. But with deliberate cultivation, by weeding out destructive thoughts, pruning useless fears, planting seeds of ambition and hope, your mind becomes a rich soil in which any dream can take root. This cultivation demands daily effort. You cannot meditate once, declutter your life once, or set intentions once and expect the effects to last. It is a constant practice, a never-ending renewal. Every time you catch your mind drifting into anxiety, you must bring it back. Every time you notice yourself reacting to provocation, you must pause, breathe, and return to stillness. Over time, this becomes your natural state. Alert, calm, unbreakable. A man's results will always match the tone of his inner dialogue. If you constantly speak to yourself in the language of worry, scarcity, and defeat, your actions will reflect hesitation, and the world will respond with resistance. But if your internal voice is disciplined, positive, and commanding, you will move through obstacles as if they are already conquered. People sense your energy. They read the confidence or uncertainty in your words, your posture, your decisions. The world opens its doors to those who broadcast certainty, who emanate calm, who carry the air of inevitability. This is why mental stillness is not just a private asset. It is the root of public influence. One of the most neglected aspects of mental stillness is the control of emotional energy. How often have you witnessed men destroy relationships, opportunities, or fortunes in a single moment of anger or panic? How often have you seen people crippled by regret, paralyzed by fear, unable to move forward because their emotions have seized command? You must resolve, here and now, to never again hand the steering wheel of your life to your emotions. Emotions are signals, not commands. Learn to observe them, to let them pass through without surrendering your power. When you feel anger, examine it, but do not obey it. When you feel fear, respect it, but do not let it dictate your actions. Each time you act from stillness rather than impulse, you accumulate invisible wealth, self-respect, clarity, resilience that is worth more than any sum of money. As your discipline grows, so too will your ability to sit with discomfort. The average man flees boredom, confusion, and uncertainty, desperate for any distraction that will dull the pain of not knowing. But the future leader, the true wealth builder, welcomes discomfort as a training ground. He remains in the silence, letting ideas mature, letting solutions rise from the depths of stillness. Every great breakthrough is born not in moments of noise, but in the fertile darkness of solitude and contemplation. Genius is not frantic, it is patient. When you feel the urge to flee your own thoughts, stay seated. When you feel lost, resist the temptation to reach for a quick fix. Trust that within your own mind, answers are already forming, waiting only for the quiet to reveal them. Begin to structure your life around this principle. Design your routines, your environment, your relationships to support your stillness rather than sabotage it. Wake before the world and claim the silence. Reserve blocks of time for undisturbed focus, guarding them as sacred. Disconnect from those who feed on drama or draw you into cycles of negativity. Fill your mind with powerful ideas. Read, study, reflect, but do not drown yourself in information for its own sake. Seek the wisdom of men who have mastered themselves, and let their examples fortify your resolve. Every choice you make is a vote for chaos or for stillness, for poverty or for wealth. You'll find, as your life grows more disciplined and your mind more peaceful, that you begin to attract the things you once chased. Opportunities present themselves with less effort. Solutions appear with less struggle. People of influence and substance are drawn to your calm. Your reputation for wisdom and reliability grows, and so do your resources. Wealth, you will discover, is not only money, it is time, energy, freedom, options, the ability to say yes or no without fear. All these are earned by the man who can remain still while others are swept away. In the end, the world does not reward the loudest or the busiest. It rewards those who can remain composed, clear, and committed when others fall apart. The gold you seek is not found in the frantic pursuit of more, but in the deep and quiet cultivation of who you become. Your mind, trained to stillness, will be your greatest weapon, your surest shield, your most reliable ally. When you master it, you master life itself, and you find, almost as if by magic, that wealth has been pursuing you all along. The mind is a battlefield, but it is a silent one. All your striving for riches, all your outward hustling and frantic doing are useless if your internal landscape is dominated by noise, confusion, and restlessness. The man who wins in the world is not always the one who works the hardest or runs the fastest, but the one who can command silence in the furnace of life's chaos. Wealth does not pour into a cup that is constantly shaking. It waits until the mind is still, until clarity prevails, until you have proven that you are not a slave to your own thoughts or to the storms of the marketplace. If you seek abundance, you must build a fortress of mental calm so strong that nothing from the outside can break it. Mental stillness is the highest demonstration of strength. The world will call you lucky when your results begin to compound, but the truth is, luck is the residue of inner discipline. In the absence of noise, your decisions become sharper. You spot opportunity where others see threat. You remain on course when the crowd stampedes for the exit. Consider a general surveying the battlefield. His mind is silent, even as bombs explode and bullets fly. He moves his pieces with calm, precise intent. This is the difference between the man who accumulates fortune and the man who loses it to panic. The ability to maintain stillness under pressure, to act from vision and not from reaction. Most men imagine that stillness is a luxury, something reserved for monks or philosophers. In reality, it is the foundation of all achievement. Every time you withdraw from the world's noise to plan your next move, you are acting with greater wisdom than the hustler who never pauses to reflect. Every evening you spend in quiet review. Every morning you reserve for intention setting. You are laying bricks for a future empire. Silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. When you develop the habit of returning to your center, no matter how violently the world pulls at you, you become a force that cannot be thrown off course. You will learn, over time, that your greatest breakthroughs will emerge not during periods of outward activity, but in moments of inward quiet. There are enemies to stillness. The greatest among them is the addiction to novelty, the mind's craving for constant stimulation, distraction, and newness. The modern world conspires to keep you in a state of endless agitation. Your conversations, your very environment, all assault you with information and urgency. If you do not consciously create barriers, you will be swept away in a river of trivialities. Wealth demands that you be ruthless with your attention. You must become the gatekeeper of your own mind, allowing in only what strengthens your resolve and supports your mission. This requires saying no to the trivial, refusing to argue with fools, and abstaining from the never-ending quest for entertainment. Every minute you waste on nonsense is a minute stolen from your destiny. Another enemy of stillness is emotional volatility. A man who cannot regulate his inner state will never hold wealth for long. Anger, envy, and fear are the thieves of fortune. They cloud judgment, sabotage relationships, and trigger destructive decisions. Train yourself to notice the first stirrings of negative emotion and pause. Breathe. Reflect. Refuse to act until you have reclaimed your composure. People will attempt to provoke you. Markets will swing. Critics will attack. Setbacks will sting. The man who allows his mood to be shaped by external forces has no chance at lasting success. The one who returns to stillness in every storm, who learns to rise above the drama and chaos, will win every time in the end. There is a discipline to cultivating stillness, and it is not complicated, though few will ever commit to it. Begin with your mornings. Rise early, before the world's noise begins, and claim those first precious moments for yourself. Sit in silence, or write in a journal, or walk in nature. Let your mind settle. Ask yourself, what matters most today? What is noise and what is signal? Set your intention to remain calm and focused no matter what. The way you start your day will determine its outcome. Next, defend your working hours with the same zeal you would defend your fortune. Block distractions. Batch your communication. Create blocks of deep work where you can think, create, and solve problems without interruption. When you feel overwhelmed, take a break, not for more noise, but for quiet. Step away, breathe, allow your mind to reset. The man who can return to calm at will is unbeatable. As you practice this discipline, you will find your life becoming simpler. Complexity is the enemy of wealth. Most men entangle themselves in obligations, relationships, and commitments that add nothing but stress. Learn to say no. Streamline your environment. Eliminate the non-essential. The simpler your life, the more energy and attention you can direct toward what truly matters. Stillness gives you the space to distinguish between the urgent and the important, between the trivial and the essential. Most of your competitors will be running in circles, busy but lost, exhausted but ineffective. You will move with fewer steps, but every step will count. Understand, too, that stillness is the birthplace of creativity. When the mind is quiet, new connections appear. Problems are seen from higher vantage points, and flashes of inspiration become regular occurrences. Wealth is built not just by hard work, but by insight, the ability to see what others cannot see, to invent what others have never imagined. The world rewards originality, and originality emerges only from a mind that is free from constant chatter. Schedule time each day for creative solitude. Guard it fiercely. The greatest ideas of your life will not come when you are rushing. They will come when you are at peace. Now, let us turn to relationships. The quality of your associations will shape the ceiling of your success, and nothing attracts high-caliber people like the aura of inner stillness. People are drawn to those who radiate calm, composure, and certainty. They sense that you are not easily rattled, that your confidence is rooted not in bravado, but in unshakable self-mastery. In meetings, remain quiet longer than others, listening with intent, speaking only when you have something valuable to add. In negotiations, let silence do the heavy lifting. Many deals are won by the man who is willing to wait longer in the quiet. In moments of crisis, be the anchor in the room, the one who holds steady as others lose their heads. This is a rare power, and it multiplies your influence exponentially. Wealth also responds to mental stillness because money flows toward order, structure, and reliability. Financial chaos is a mirror of mental chaos. If your spending is impulsive, your investments erratic, your planning haphazard, you are signaling to the universe that you cannot be trusted with abundance. Bring stillness to your financial affairs. Review your numbers regularly in quiet solitude. Make decisions slowly and calmly. Avoid the temptation to chase every new opportunity. Instead, build steadily on the foundation you have laid. Fortune favors the man who is patient, methodical, and composed. A powerful but often ignored secret. Mental stillness allows you to tap into intuition. There is a knowing deeper than logic that emerges only when the mind is silent. Many of the greatest deals, partnerships, and innovations in history began with a gut feeling that proved to be correct. Trust your intuition, but only after you have quieted the noise and looked at the facts. When stillness and analysis are combined, you become nearly infallible in your judgment. The compounding effect of mental stillness is staggering. Each day you return to quiet, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you resist the pull of distraction, you build inner power. Each time you act from calm instead of chaos, you solidify your reputation as a force to be reckoned with. In a year, your progress will be obvious. In 5, your life will be unrecognizable. The man who can command stillness on demand is a magnet for wealth, respect, and influence. Never forget. The world is filled with people who are busy but broke, active but unfulfilled, noisy but unnoticed. They chase 1,000 goals and achieve none. You must be different. Let the others scatter their energy in every direction. You will focus yours. Let others panic and react. You will pause and reflect. Let others be ruled by circumstance. You will create your own reality from the quiet center of your mind. The game is not about doing more. It is about being more. You become more by mastering yourself. Stillness is both the method and the reward. It is not just a means to wealth. It is the highest wealth, because a man at peace can never be shaken, never be broken, never be owned by anything or anyone. When you walk through life with a calm mind and an untroubled spirit, you possess the one thing no man can buy or steal. From this foundation, every other form of abundance flows naturally, effortlessly, and inevitably toward you. The still mind is the king of kings, the magnet of all good things. It is time to face the inescapable truth. Most people are poor not because the world has denied them opportunity, but because they have failed to build a state of mind that attracts and holds wealth. The riches you seek are not hiding in some secret location, waiting to be discovered by the fortunate few. No, they are waiting in the silence between your thoughts, in the calmness beneath your daily turbulence, in the deliberate spaces you create to listen to your deeper self. If you want to command wealth, you must first command yourself. Stillness is not optional. It is the crucible in which all greatness is forged. Let there be no confusion. This is not about laziness or avoidance of action. Stillness is not an excuse for passivity. It is the highest form of preparation. While the masses chase every distraction and exhaust themselves in fruitless motion, you are called to a higher standard. You must become the architect of your inner life. Each day, dedicate time to step back from the noise. Guard your solitude as fiercely as a miser guards his last coin. In this protected space, review your life, your progress, your intentions. Ask yourself with ruthless honesty, where am I wasting energy? What patterns am I repeating unconsciously? Which people, habits, and beliefs are robbing me of peace and purpose? The answers will come not in a rush, but in waves of realization as the mind quiets and your true nature emerges. Consider the difference between those who operate from a still center and those who do not. When a crisis strikes, the world scrambles, opinions fly, and panic spreads. But the man who has cultivated stillness remains a pillar. He does not react immediately, he observes. He does not let fear dictate his next step. He consults with his inner counsel. He is neither paralyzed by doubt nor seduced by excitement. His actions are measured, his words are chosen, and his decisions carry a force that others instinctively trust. Such a man, rare as he may be, becomes the calm in every storm and the anchor in every chaos. Eventually, resources, allies, and opportunities gravitate to him, for people naturally seek out the person who can remain unshaken when the ground quakes beneath their feet. Mental stillness gives you power over time. Most people believe they are always running out of time, but this is an illusion born of scattered focus and constant anxiety. In stillness, time expands. You see more, notice more, understand more. You realize that the pace of true progress is not dictated by the clock, but by the clarity of your vision and the efficiency of your action. Decisions made from a hurried mind lead to regret. Decisions made from a still mind lead to mastery. The wealthiest people in the world are not those who rush, but those who move with unhurried certainty, knowing that the right move at the right time is infinitely more valuable than 100 impulsive actions. Now, examine the relationship between mental stillness and intuition. The subconscious mind is always at work, processing information and connecting dots far beyond the reach of conscious awareness. Yet, most ignore its messages because they are too busy to listen. Stillness is the channel through which your deepest wisdom surfaces. It is in moments of quiet reflection that sudden insights, creative solutions, and breakthrough ideas appear. These flashes are not accidents. They are the reward for your discipline. The mind, when undisturbed by noise, becomes a receiver for higher knowledge. Cultivate this ability. Do not dismiss the inner voice. Test it, refine it, but never ignore it, for it will often lead you where logic cannot. Stillness is also the antidote to self-doubt and fear, the two most persistent enemies of wealth. Doubt thrives in noise. Fear multiplies in confusion. But when you pause, breathe, and quiet your mind, you see both for what they are. Illusions. In the calm of reflection, you remember your strengths, your progress, and your power to choose your response to any circumstance. You break the trance of limitation and awaken to possibility. This is not positive thinking for its own sake. It is practical strategy. You cannot afford to pollute your mental environment with worry and hesitation. Weed them out daily. Replace them with the seeds of confidence, clarity, and calm action. Wealth flows to order, not to chaos. Bring stillness to your financial life. Review your resources in silence, away from the chatter of the world. Examine your habits. Where does your money go each month? And what does it say about your priorities? Are you building or just consuming? Are you investing in your future or financing your distractions? In the quiet, you can make decisions that align with your goals instead of reacting to every external demand. Financial mastery is simply the outward expression of inner control. The man who cannot rule his own mind will never rule his finances. Let us turn now to the influence your stillness has on others. In business, in leadership, and in all relationships, people are desperate for stability. They are drawn to those who do not lose their head in crisis, who do not speak rashly or act out of panic. When you cultivate a calm presence, you become a natural leader. Your employees, your family, your partners, each will look to you as the emotional anchor. In negotiation, stillness is your greatest weapon. The man who can sit in silence, letting the other party fill the air with nervous talk, holds the advantage. Words have weight only when they are not thrown carelessly. Silence, properly used, forces others to reveal their true intentions and weak spots. Stillness also magnifies your influence over the long term. The world respects consistency, and nothing is more consistent than a man who is not ruled by his moods or the events of the day. You become reliable, trustworthy, and respected, not because you are always right, but because you are always steady. In a world addicted to drama, the calm mind is magnetic. People will offer you opportunities, share their secrets, and trust you with responsibility, simply because they feel safer in your presence than in the company of the anxious or erratic. True stillness is not withdrawal from life. It is full engagement with life, minus the turbulence. You will continue to work, to build, to dream, to strive. But you will do so from a place of centeredness. The victories will be sweeter because they will be achieved not at the expense of your peace, but as a natural extension of it. Even defeat will not break you because your foundation does not depend on outward results. You become immune to the wild swings of fortune, and in that immunity lies the true wealth, freedom from fear. To achieve this state, you must commit to daily disciplines. Begin each morning with silence, end each night with reflection. Schedule blocks of deep, undisturbed work, and defend them against all intrusions. Keep your environment free of clutter, your relationships free of unnecessary drama, your mind free of toxic input. Choose carefully what you read, what you listen to, and with whom you share your time. Each choice is either feeding your stillness or starving it. Reject the myth that more action is always better. Sometimes the most powerful move is to wait, to observe, to let the dust settle before you decide. In business, fortunes have been lost by men who could not resist the urge to do something in the heat of panic. Those who become legends are those who trust their preparation, who hold steady when others flinch, and who strike only when the moment is right. Remember, opportunity rewards the patient and the prepared, not the frantic and the fearful. You must also learn to forgive yourself for past mistakes. Stillness cannot coexist with regret. Every man has made errors in judgment, wasted time, lost money, or hurt those he cared about. If you let these memories haunt your present, you surrender your peace and weaken your future. Make amends where you can. Learn the lesson and then let it go. The present moment is your only point of power. Use it wisely. Lastly, remember that mental stillness is not a destination but a practice, a way of being. Some days you will be calm. Others, chaos may slip through. The goal is progress, not perfection. Each time you return to stillness, you reinforce the habit. Over months and years, it becomes your default state. People will marvel at your composure, your judgment, your results, and wonder what your secret is. Let them. You owe them no explanation. Your life will speak for itself. Wealth is not the result of chance, talent, or favorable circumstances. It is the reward for the man who rules his mind and guards his spirit. Mental stillness is the soil from which every form of abundance grows. Health, love, influence, prosperity, peace. In the silence of your own thoughts, you will find a blueprint for everything you ever wanted. Hold it tight. Build on it daily. And watch as the world, unable to resist the gravity of your